Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
I'm not drunk.
We'll take your word for it, or we won't. I don't know. This week, we'll be discussing the science fiction, horror, family drama classic, Altered States, starring William Hurt, not to be confused with John Hurt. I always do that.
Two different people,
and some other vaguely reminiscent, people who you're like, well, that actor seems kind of familiar
it's
to
an
me.
all-star cast. What's your mouth talking, man? You got Blair Brown in her All Together. You got Drew Barrymore. You got John LaRoquette. Come on, man.
That is true. This movie, the star is obviously William Hurt in his first role. Blair Brown, I defy you to name another movie with Blair Brown in it.
Something tells me it's probably something related to made-for-TV movies.
Exactly.
But she did have a relationship with one of a gentleman from one of our previous movies, Logan's Run.
That is true. She was in a relationship with Richard Jordan for many movies. That's true. But other than that...
Now I got to Google Blair Brown. Thank you very much.
No, it is like somebody you're like, that name sounds vaguely familiar. That actress looks kind of familiar. And then you're like, no, I've never seen any of these.
Nancy Pelosi right now.
I don't know if I agree. Who's that an insult to?
I'm just saying that's what she looks like now. She was in Continental Divide.
A classic. No, it's not.
The Bad Seed remake.
Okay, moving on.
Why do I know her?
But you also have the research partner, William Hurt.
She was in the Paper Chase.
Yeah.
I love the Paper Chase.
Oh, then, okay, you're the one.
Because I like stuff like that.
Yeah, Bob Balaban, who you would recognize.
Come on, man. Every Christopher Guest and Seinfeld.
That's true. Then you've got the dude from Hill Street Blues. That's what I'm going to call him. The other guy from Hill Street Blues.
It totally is. And I was trying, without looking it up, to remember his name, because it was like Rizzo, or no, that's from Grease. It was like, starts with an R, though, but I did think he was hot back in the old Hill Street Blues days.
Not so much in the old Altered States days?
Actually, he's probably looking better there, if you want to know the truth. He's a little more fit.
But I will say this about this movie. There are actors in total, they're not cameos, because at the time they weren't big stars, but little kind of bit parts who show up. You're like, is John Larroquette the X-ray technician who's in 2 minutes of this movie?
Yes.
Another Police Academy reference, which will mean nothing to you. George Gaines plays the guy who looks at the X-rays and says, "These are from a gorilla." He has one line. He plays Commandant Lassard in the Police Academy movies, and he was Punky Brewster's adoptive father. So there you go. There you go.
This will tell you, I reference the name Punky Brewster all the time, yet I have no memory of ever watching that show.
You wouldn't have. She was my age. She was like a little girl. Punky Brewster. Anyway, moving on.
But I totally tell the students, hey, don't be a Punky Brewster.
Oh, Punky Brewster. She was a little orphan girl who had mismatched socks and a crazy ponytail. You remember, don't you? Anyway, then there's, like you said, Drew Barrymore sneaks in as one of William Hurt's daughters.
Yes.
Who, it's like, if you're not paying attention, you'll miss her, because there's no, zoom in on her being cute particularly.
No,
she's
just
kind of
in the background, but I jumped right up. I said, it's like baby Drew Barrymore. I was like, holy moly.
Also her first movie. So there you go. It's an all-star cast. So do you want to give a 5-minute explanation of what this GD thing's about?
All right, here it is. Self-important scientists with a drug bend decide to, just for shits and giggles, explore how to hallucinate with no real plan. Bad things happen. It all works out at the end.
Allegedly.
Was that concise enough, or do you need more detail?
That's all I need. That's
I'll tell you, Roger Ebert thought it was genius.
Well, he's the one. This was anybody who watches this movie. This was an Aaron choice, by the way.
For sure.
Send her your bizarre hate mail. This movie,
for sure.
I was vaguely aware this movie existed. I didn't really know what it was about. It's a lot of sensory deprivation stuff. It's like sensory deprivation mixed in with like peyote or something.
Yeah,
it's
magic mushrooms, actually.
Magic mushrooms. There you go. Tell me exactly, because at the beginning of the movie, where are they? They're not at Harvard, Boston College, New York University. I don't know where they are.
Did they say are they in Massachusetts? It's not Boston College.
I think, no. I think they end up at Harvard.
I think they're at Cornell. I thought they were at Cornell.
At the beginning, I think they're at Cornell, but they end up, like, he gets a big promotion. They both do, to start working at Harvard, I thought.
Okay.
And so that's why the sensory deprivation tank changes from the beginning of the movie to the later part of the movie, if I'm remembering correctly, which there's no guarantee of that.
And it really doesn't matter.
It really doesn't matter. Now,
we're going to say they were at Humboldt State. Let's just say that. Because it seems more of a kind of Humboldtian kind of plant.
You're telling me.
Let's say it's Berkeley. Just for shits and giggles.
Now, at the beginning of the movie, William Hurt is in this sensory deprivation tank that looks like, what? Like a giant tube, like a metal tube.
No, it looks like a hot water heater.
Hot water, exactly. Like a hot water heater.
Like a tank.
And he's got a fishbowl on his head, essentially. And
which is just resting on it. I'm like, what keeps your body attached? It was so bizarre.
It's supposed to be a sensory deprivation tank, except it's bright light. Anywho, so there's the scene. Like I said, it's well lit, which would just seem to defy the purpose. And you think your drifting arm would constantly be hitting the side of his tank.
That sounds terrible.
So 2 strikes. But my question to you is, and maybe you can answer this, because I honestly don't remember. What were they studying? Because they said that they had other, like, students that they would put in the tank and then study their reactions to things, and then William Hurt starts doing it.
Honestly, it sounded like they were just doing this like as a goof, and the students, they were studying just like general. It's like they had no hypothesis. It was like, let's just put a bunch of students and study their brain activity. Well, some of the students hallucinated, and then John Hurt says, that's all I needed to hear. Let's jump in there.
Well, they literally, you're right about that.
There seems to be no scientific basis for this. This is 1980, so it might as well be the 70s.
Right. Well, no, it takes place in 67.
Okay, well, perfect. Then it's the 60s, so let's just do a bunch of stuff and see what happens.
Well, there's definitely a scene where Bob Balaban and William Hurt are walking out of like the building, and Balaban's like literally like, what are we trying to study? What is our purpose behind this? And he's like, oh, who knows? Let's just see where it takes us. I don't know. Do you get a grant for that? I mean, it just whatever I want to do, I'm just going to, subject myself to sensory deprivation, evidently.
And of course, this is based on, it's based on a book, which is based on an actual person who was studying all this stuff, who invented the sensory deprivation tanks and all that. So while you're watching this gibberish, think about that this is like someone's reality.
The problem, where this movie honestly started to lose me was just the nonstop bizarro montages of strange images that would pop up.
I thought that was the best part. The worst part was his just babbling on about his hallucinations and God and what it all means, and I'm so important. And I'm no scientist, but I had some learning. So these people are like fully tenured professors getting some good money, and this is what they call science. There's no control. There's just, let's see what happens. Yay.
Well, I think they were experimenting on at one point.
Oh,
Like,
because I'm quite sure after Williams Hurt's weird revelation with a one-night stand, how he's tells her all this bizarre stories of seeing God and his father's dying words. I was like, oh yeah, crazy people become psychiatrists. He's studying this because he's schizophrenic. He's studying schizophrenia. You're right.
Well, because it was like he said something along the lines of maybe schizophrenics aren't crazy. Maybe they're just existing on another plane or something.
Because if you were schizophrenic, what would you rather be? You know what I'm saying? Right or wrong? Let's prove the theory where I'm not a wackadoo. I'm some elevated person. Oh my God, it's L. Ron Hubbard. It's L. Ron Hubbard. Oh, we're going to get sued by the Scientologists now.
I don't think they're worried about us just yet. So he meets Blair Brown at some kind of barbecue, like all the faculty gets together and they're hanging out. Faculty mixer. Blair Brown is, what is she? She's an anthropologist.
Yeah.
And she, like, literally, this is the 60s, so I guess anything goes. She's just like, hey, why don't we go back to my place, big guy? I mean, they go for a walk, have a conversation, but they're ready for action pretty quick.
Absolutely. And while we're in bed, tell me all your delusions and freakish stuff, because I won't be scared, because it's the 60s, and we're all apparently...
Well, after their tryst, she just goes, "You're damn fascinating," or some bizarre comment like that.
You damn dirty ape.
You damn dirty ape. So they're together all the time at this point, and she, I guess, proposes marriage to him, and he's like, I don't know.
I don't know if that fits in with my hallucinations.
Well, and she kind of like goes, well, we can get married, and then if it doesn't work out, we shake hands and go on our way. And he's like, well, once you put it like that, I guess I could do that.
Exactly. As long as there's real no commitment on my part.
Yeah, I guess that sounds all right.
Fantastic.
So Smash Cut, what is it, 5 years or 10 years later? It's a while later. They have two, 10-year-old daughters or something, like the
something
Shining
like
daughters.
That.
It's hard to know. And now we find out they're separating.
Well, yeah, he's just crazy AF. He's a nutball.
Yeah. So it's
he's gone for hours and hours and hours, apparently just taking drugs and chilling in a tank.
That's what he does. And this revelation occurs because his soon-to-be ex-wife is taking the kids and going to Africa to study something there. I don't remember
primates or something. Primate nonverbal communication.
You're paying better attention than I am. And William Hurt is going to where? South America, Central America.
Oh Lord!
To study the ancient natives. Well,
drugs.
the native people in this place. I don't know if it was Peru,
Mexico. I think they said.
Who knows?
Well, let me just tell you this. Basically, the premise is, hey, I'm tripping balls in this isolation tank. I wonder what will happen if I also take massive amounts of hallucinogens too.
Right. That's basically what it is.
Let's study that.
So he goes, he's desperate. He's going down there, and he meets up with this tribe. And he's like, hey, will they let me participate in the ritual where I get the narco? What do I have to sign? Where do I sign up? Where do I sign up to be a part of the ritual? I'm not here to observe, clearly. I'm not a scientist at this moment. No. I'm just basically an addict at this moment.
I'm here by myself with just some dude
he's like a scientist at the sister college or something.
He is? Because after the trip out, the guy's yelling at him, "You're a liar!" There should have been someone taking notes. It's just nonsense.
Right. It's not scientific at all. Again, who's writing these grants? Who's accepting these proposals?
The scientific method was available in the 60s.
It wasn't.
We didn't just come up with that last week.
No. He throws that out the window. He is drinking whatever mushroom mixture that they make for him. And this is the first bizarre 2001 The Space Odyssey montages. We're like, what am I looking at here? Is this a universe? Is this an
Oh my
egg
God.
yolk? What is
It's
happening?
fantastic. It's like pre-MTV music videos. I could see David Byrne swimming by at one point.
This is where I'd usually go hit the bathroom.
No, that's
At this
the
point.
best part.
No.
That was the freakiest thing. Even in I think I saw this when I was like 13 or 14.
Oh,
And
jeez.
even then, in my innocent state, I was thinking, I think you need to be on drugs to watch this movie.
Yes, I would definitely say so. So he wakes up and he finds like he has murdered a Komodo dragon with his bare hands. Is that?
I thought he ate it.
It could be he ate it. I'm not sure what he did. He killed this creature with its guts hanging out.
Right.
Again, Komodo dragons not native to Central or South America, as far as I know. But he's like, well, what did this happen? Well, the wise men of the tribe say that you did this kind of thing. It's like, I didn't do it.
And where was the sister city dude? He wasn't. Oh, you went out of the cave, and yeah, I know you've never done these drugs before, so I didn't bother to follow. You could have walked off a damn cliff.
You're right. I don't know what the guy's credentials were. He seemed on the level, but what do I know?
This
William
is supposed
Hurt
to
hired
be
him.
like ayahuasca or something. I almost said Hiawatha.
It's Hiawatha is what it is. Clearly. Oh God. So now he's back.
And now he's all agitated. He's calling everybody a liar. The Indians are liars. And how come nobody has the experiences that he has? That's my other red flag, that this is all in his damn mind.
Well, he doesn't. Does he do it with anybody else?
The Indians all did it.
Well, who knows what they're doing?
They're sipping the sauce too.
Yeah, but they've been doing it for 1,000 years. So maybe
So you stop eating iguana after a while?
I think so. Maybe.
Did it remind you of Walla Voodoo at all? I wish it was in Tijuana eating barbecued iguana.
Yes.
Guess not.
Yes. It jumped right to the forefront of my brain. So he gets back and he recruits Bob Balaban again. And there's another homie, right? That's when Hill Street Blues shows up, who's another doctor. I think he's a physician, right? Hill Street Blues?
There's a doctor of something or other. He made a point of saying it repeatedly.
Oh, he's an endocrinologist.
Yeah.
There you go. Where did that come from?
It's important that when you're in isolation tank taking massive drugs that no one has studied that you have an endocrinologist.
It's very important. So he decides, I'm going to go back to the sensory deprivation tank, but we're at a new college now, so I got to check out their
And why are we in a new college? Because they've driven you out of the old one. But all three of them, oh no, they have told them they could not use that. That they'd shut it down, so then he's trying to go down low. Isn't that what it was?
It's something like that. Who the hell knows? So he's like,
usually colleges want. Usually, if you're at these colleges, you also have to be teaching classes.
I think he is
Call
teaching
me
classes.
crazy.
He is. We don't ever see him in the classroom.
Well, he's got bubbly arms and stuff. Is that all happening, or when he's the monkey man?
Oh God. So yes, we are. So he's taking the drugs. He's getting in the sensory deprivation tank, and a variety of different things happen. It's like first he makes weird noises that sound like gorillas, evidently. Yes. He's talking about eating gazelles or something on the African plains,
Goats or something,
some damn thing. And when they open up the tank, he's got blood all over his mouth. So it's like, oh, what does this mean? And he can't communicate. He's no longer able to speak. He grunts
but he can write clearly.
Yes, he writes clearly and says, "Hey, X-ray me. X-ray me before I revert to normal." Again, he looks freaking fine, other than being dipped in blood. And they from Night Court. He quickly X-rays him.
Young as a baby.
Young as a baby. They take the X-rays to Commandant Lassard from Police Academy. He says, "This is from a gorilla." Okay, what kind of doctor is this looking at the X-rays that he'd look at them and go, "This is obviously from a gorilla"? Are you primatologist?
Yeah, he constantly is. He works sometimes at the zoo. Because I think become a doctor, you also have to know what the neck bone of every species on the earth
Every
ever lived.
Yes, it's little known fact. You got to go to medical school, but you got to start working on gorillas.
Okay,
So
look, I'm
African
raising my
silverback.
hand. I'm
Yes.
raising my hand, knowing what we know in the future. Is he in fact a gorilla?
No. He's not.
See, obviously, the doctor failed that test.
He failed that. There you go. I'm going to report him to the National Board of Primatologists and Medical Doctors. You're right. Okay. So, but he keeps doing this, right? Meanwhile,
because that seems like a good thing. I'm shape shifting, and it's coming back. So yeah, let's push it harder.
And all of his buddies say, like, you're crazy. Why are we doing this? This is unhealthy. You're using,
Balaban tells you you're crazy. You need to reflect.
Got to reflect. And when Hill Street Blues is saying, no can do.
Renko, I think is what his character is.
Yeah, Detective Renko or something. So basically, it's like they're all very concerned about this. You know what I mean? You're taking crazy drugs from Central or South America and not been tested by the Food and Drug Administration or the Ignition, have never looked at this. We're very upset. He keeps doing it. One time he does it by himself because everybody's like, F off. You're on your own, big guy.
That's when that's when the real science is happening. Where you're just don't even give a damn anymore.
No, it's so now, after going into the tank by himself and taking the drugs, he climbs out as a little crazy, Homo erectus?
He's like a little miniature, like Lucy or something. He's dancing around. He's tiny, but you don't know that at first because sometimes he doesn't appear to be that tiny.
Right. It's a little furry dude. Little furry dude's running around.
Full of rage.
Yes. The janitor comes down, hears grunting and groaning, and he's like, what the heck? He chases off. He goes and gets a security guard who's also somebody famous, if I remember. Somebody vaguely recognizable. Security guard comes down there. He gets attacked by the monkey man. And then he escapes. Monkey Joe is running through I guess,
half murdering people.
Dogs are chasing him because there's wild dogs running up and down the street. I just refer
him as the Monkey Murder Man.
Monkey Murder Man. And where it gets really confusing is Monkey Murder Man scales a wall in a seemingly residential neighborhood, and then suddenly there's a rhino. It's like, why is there a rhino in this person's backyard? There's no explanation. Later we realize, okay, he jumped into the zoo.
Yeah, because you're like, huh?
Right.
And why is the Monkey Murder Man terrified of dogs, not of huge people or elephants?
Right. Has no problem messing with the rhinos or the elephants. He attacks, a gazelle, something. Kills some kind of antelope and is eating it with just his teeth, right?
Yeah. He hit it with a rock, killing it almost instantly with a rock the size of a potato.
Throws it
because he's like a wizard. Yeah. And then
they can't all be wizards,
chews on its armpit or something.
He does something. And then the next morning there's William Hurt, bare ass naked, in the zoo, snuggling up next to a corpse of some kind of goat or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like a werewolf kind of thing. And by the way,
and smug. He had this smug look about him when they bailed him out of jail. Did you notice that? He had a smirk.
He's kind of a smug guy. Let's be honest.
Let's just be straight. Well, William Hurt's kind of a smug, was. I don't know.
He could still be. He's still kicking it. He's in the Marvel movies.
Is he?
Yeah, absolutely is. There you go. Good times.
His acting quality was always right up there with, oh my God.
I wasn't going to get into this.
Waterworld.
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner.
Oh, no. I wasn't going to get into this right now, but I got to get into it. First of all, step one, is William Hurt a handsome person?
William Hurt, in his early career, was pretty. And I normally don't like blondes, but he was good looking.
He was good looking.
He started off half bald, though.
His hair is a little kind of weak and just kind of hangs there. And yeah, speaking as a bald man, I noticed his crazy hair very early on. Okay,
and then it was a fast slide.
It was a fast slide. Okay,
so I think it ended with the big chill. That was probably the last time he was kind of attractive, but he was always kind of like an arrogant guy.
Okay,
who played arrogant characters. Go ahead.
Is he a good actor?
No.
This is I have to press him against this because he's winning Academy Awards left and right at this period.
You know,
I find him totally unconvincing in nearly any role I could envision.
He's one of those guys who's just him in every role.
Oh, he's worse than that. Oh, he's worse than that.
What did he win the Academy Award for?
Didn't he? He won for like Kiss of the Spider Woman, and
I thought it was The Accidental Tourist or something.
I think he won for that too. There was
two. He's got two.
I think he won a couple times in the 80s.
Honestly,
look it up. Look it up. Google it.
It's hardly Sophie's Choice. He ain't no Meryl Streep.
No, he's a card-carrying member of the Jeff Goldblum, Al Pacino, Why Did I Say My Line Like This group. Okay, where you're just like, why did you put the emphasis on that syllable?
Goldblum, he's got some quirk. He's a character.
I love Jeff Goldblum. I think Jeff Goldblum and Al Pacino are obviously far superior actors to William Hurt, but he doesn't have the chops. He just has the weird cadence, which you're like, no one talks like that.
Like walking? Oh, I just saw a Kurt.
How dare you?
Oh Lord, I just saw a picture of William Hurt from 2005. Man, that's a few years ago, and it made me a little scared for him right there.
I mean, he went to like Juilliard and all sorts of stuff. I mean, he's a well-trained actor. There's something going on.
Oh, he was in Gorky Park. That's right. I remember thinking
Children of a Lesser God. He was
in
a ton of stuff. That. It's a classic. They're all classics as far as I'm concerned. Anywho,
Gorky Park was good though. Oh, you're right. Won Best Actor for Kiss of the Spider Woman. He had some nominations.
Is that what it was?
Broadcast News, Children of a Lesser God, and then Off to Broadway.
And happily.
Oh Lord, remember The Village? That was so terrible.
Oh God, that was when we knew M. Night Shyamalan is lousy. Where it was just like, where it's a bait and switch, where you think it's one movie that's a cool idea, and it's revealed like, oh, no, it's a much crappier movie.
No, I nailed that movie like 5 minutes in. I'm like, they're surrounded from the outside world, blah, 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 blah.
Spoiler alert, by the way.
If you haven't seen The Frickin' Village by now,
consider yourself lucky. Well, you realized all his movies now are a bait and switch. There's always some twist, which may make the movie 20% worse.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to branch out. They don't all have to be the secret surprise. Maybe that's the secret surprise, no secret surprise. Let's try that.
Yeah, we can hope. Hope and pray.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. So now he's bailed out his estranged wife, who's still, like, in love with him, just madly in love with him. She's like, once you get that William Hurt musk on you, you just can't shake it. It's literally a line that she says. She says William Hurt. It's very strange. So she's hooked on him, even though he's like, yeah, Papa was a Rolling Stone, Lord, I was born a rambling man. He was doing a lot of 70s references in all of his song lyrics.
Lord.
So there you have it. But so now he's like, I have to prove to you guys that we got to do this again. Goes in there.
Hang on.
Jump in, please.
At one point, he's yelling at his wife, I'm not mad. Basically, if you have to yell to people that you're not crazy, maybe you are.
That's not a good sign?
That is not a good sign.
Well, everyone thinks he's... Basically, we know as the audience that he has undergone these physical changes. He's in the shower and he's got crazy monkey feet. Weird monkey hands. There's all sorts of monkey stuff going on with William Hurt.
And that makes you want to do it even more. Now, just to backpedal, part of the problem why they went to go do the drugs is because he would have these hallucinations in the tank and black out.
Right. He couldn't remember.
Wouldn't know and he'd be black out, unconscious in a tank for 4 hours. They just let him float out there. relieving himself, emptying his bowels.
Well, they said he would be
his
crying about things, and he wouldn't realize he'd been in there for 4 hours. So it really didn't serve any purpose. I mean, they had him hooked up to the EKG and the EEG meters and all that stuff. But
So that's when they decided, why don't we just pour on some more hallucinogenic junk? Because that for sure will, based on no scientific theory, practice, ideas, will clearly help me break through to this blackout.
Right. Well, they said essentially that anybody who's in these sensory deprivation tanks oftentimes will hallucinate. Like that's just without the drugs.
William Hurt actually did hallucinate. They all tried it out, and he claims he hallucinated.
I mean, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Who the heck knows?
I'm telling you, it made me very nervous about going into the isolation tank when I went this year.
Did you go to an isolation tank this year?
I did. I was at the Women's March, and they had like discount prices, like $15 for an hour. I was like, sold.
And what happened? Did you notice a monkey hand?
I walked in there and I made a reference, and all the little 20-year-olds who worked there stared at me with their dead shark-like eyes. No idea what I'm talking about. And went on with their spiel about take a shower, then go in here, a light will turn on when your time is up.
Interesting. Okay. Good times had by all.
Now, I did not go into a hot water tank. It was actually like a room in a room. It was probably closer to the black tank, but it was literally this inner room where there's a shower.
Right.
Then they had constructed this giant cube, and the water was about, 3 feet deep. But for some reason, the room went all the way up to like a regular ceiling. So it was pitch black in there. So once you closed the door, you didn't see anything. But it was long enough, I'm tall, that I could get in the middle and put my arms and legs out completely and not touch any sides.
That's what it's supposed to be, sensory deprivation. I mean, it should be like nothing.
And it was super salty, so you float high. In fact, I should have. They offer you these floating pills, which I should have taken because my body was up almost higher than my head, so it kind of gave me a crink in the neck.
Oh, that's no good.
But I was not crusty and salty like they were doing. I don't know what they were doing.
But my question to you is, monkey paw, yay or nay?
No, it was very relaxing at first, and then I just started making lists. And then somewhere in the distance, they give you earplugs on top of everything else, but I could still hear like water running somewhere in the distance. So it wasn't completely.
No hallucinations?
No. I was waiting for it. So far, Ambien has let me down, and now sensory deprivation.
So your goal is hallucination. Interesting.
I want the lucid dreaming. I want to, float above. I want to time travel.
Good luck with that.
Astral project. I go to haunted. I went to the hauntedest place in the world. I went to Greyfriars Cemetery. You know what I got? Nothing. I'm obviously the least psychic person in the world.
Very upsetting.
I repel ghosts and hallucinations.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
But trust me, I saw this movie once in the theater, and it stuck with me all this time.
It would stick with me about how lousy it is. That's all I'm going to say. There's a lot of bubble arm, like you said briefly. Like after a few times in the tank, suddenly he's got like weird bubbles forming on his arm.
And it made no sense because Murder Monkey Man didn't have any of that. He didn't have this big chest. He was like a shrunken little tiny dude.
Well, I think it was like kind of bubbling because you're transforming. It would be my guess.
So you get bigger and then all of a sudden you shrink up small?
I didn't write this.
To me, Kevin.
I didn't write this.
You're practically a scientician.
A scientician. Yeah, perhaps. Oh, God. So he goes into the black tank one more time, now with everybody. Like his estranged wife is helping out, Bob Balaban, Hill Street Blues. They're all chiming in. And like a crazy vortex happens. A weird, like, dimensional rift. I don't know what this
In
scene.
the name of Jesus, what was so different this time? Did I go into the restroom and I missed something? Why is this freak out different than every other one? Where now the tank is transparent and you can see through it.
Well, it was supposed to
time
be
shifting. I don't know what it is. It's Doctor Who. I don't know what's happening. Why is it so different?
I think it was supposed to be something along the lines of he had now used so much of it. Like the effect was cumulative. The more drugs he used of this ayahuasca stuff, the greater the effect. So I don't know why, he goes from being the monkey man
so it's
to
like
now
Prozac. You got to spread it out over time, and then next thing you know, you are God.
Well, he's a bubbly cocoon creature with a bright light vortex that's smashing windows. Renko and Balaban are knocked down. What's her name? Blair Brown. She goes in there and I guess like talks him into becoming normal again.
Yes.
She saves him.
With her deep love.
With her deep love. She saves him. And then later, he's spazzing out in the house and having weird lightning shooting out of him. And he touches her with his like chrysalis hand. And then she starts having weird lights coming out of her body.
Oh, yeah. This is the age of Tron, man. You got your early computer graphics. People are going buck wild with it.
Well, she had said to him, fight it. You can fight it. You can fight it. And,
come back to me.
And again, he touches her. So now she's doomed. But he does manage to hit the wall a few times with his one arm and come back to life. And then he come back and touches her. And they have a very romantic naked embrace in the hallway, which
it's kind of like for the older listeners, when you had an old tube TV that was on the fritz, you had to like kind of give it a couple of whacks. Well, that's kind of like what they were doing, but with their bodies.
Yeah, at this point,
every time he'd bang the wall, he'd kind of shapeshift into something else.
Yeah, at this point in the movie, my only notes are WTF ?
Yeah.
And then I wrote bizarre and stupid. That was it. Those are my last two notes.
But honestly, now that we're actually discussing this, because we don't pre-discuss, it seems to me that I've seen this similar scene recently.
Okay.
Where he's kind of banging, kind of a breakthrough, like in maybe one of the universe, one of your crappy superhero movies. They did something similar to this.
Oh, I'll take your word for it.
It doesn't seem familiar at all when they're kind of no, nothing.
No,
you watch all those things.
Yeah, all the time.
Shut up.
All the time. Oh Lord. This was the first movie we've watched where I was literally like, can I get into the sensory deprivation tank to get this time back? Is what I want.
Now, I thought this was better than Friday the 13th 4.
That is nonsense.
Fascinating.
Some would argue blasphemy.
I think our mother was drinking when she was pregnant with you. That's the only thing that I can come up with.
Well, the issue with Friday the 13th is you kind of know what you're getting. You get what you expect. This is...
You didn't like the surprise?
This was an M. Night Shyamalan. No, it was... Oh, God help me. Again, you really like the weird psychedelic, light storms that would pop up every now and again.
I like that kind of very surreal. Oh, it's a row of super close poppies and people serving tea. It's my father dying. It reminded me of early MTV music videos. You're like,
now you like all that David Lynch stuff. This is a David Lynch kind of movie, as far as I'm concerned. You're just like, I have no idea what's happening.
This is much more coherent than anything that David Lynch... this had a linear storyline. David Lynch, you're like, I don't know what's going on, but it's kind of interesting.
Oh, sweet Jesus! Any other musings about this movie?
I had some musings. Now, I thought the Murder Monkey Man. I thought his head looked like the little demon from Trilogy of Terror.
That's entirely possible. You mean it was Karen Black?
No. Not after she becomes the little creature, but the little creature itself when he was running around with the little stabby knife. No, you
That
don't
was
remember?
him. I do remember. I'm being
Shut your mouth.
difficult.
God bless. This is what's wrong with the government. This was filmed at the VA somewhere here in California.
Perfect. That makes a hell of a lot of sense now that you mention it.
Really, let me talk about it. The funny thing is I can't argue. I mean, it's kind of a goofy movie. It is early CGI, man. This was state of the art at the time. It's got a little Tron flavor, if Tron was more hallucinogenic. But when you read, it's fascinating. Roger Ebert's review of this, you're like, He's talking about it's a love story that spans time and space.
It's somewhere in time, is what it is with Christopher Reeve.
His thing was the only thing that matters is love. That he's gone from the beginning when we were created, and it's nothingness. So there's nothingness without love. That is what this movie is about.
It seems like William Hurt is supposed to be this damaged dude. This damaged guy who can't commit to anything except his own bizarre
But let's
thoughts.
go back. He's damaged because, I mean, God forbid, a father that he loved died.
Right.
And he's...
Is that it?
And I'm so damaged. That's when he stopped hallucinating and seeing visions of God after his father died.
That's correct. He used to see visions of God until his 12th birthday or something when his father died, and then he stopped seeing these visions.
Exactly.
Essentially.
That sounds biological, if you ask me.
He's wanting to do this stuff because it was somehow like you're able to tap into like the primordial spirit or something.
Like our whole evolution history is packed somewhere in our subconscious. So why does he stop at Murder Monkey Man? Why doesn't he go all the way to Amoeba?
Maybe he does. You see him at the end of the movie? He's a crazy bubble creature. It's hard to know. This is sweet.
But she was also like sizzly lava lady. She looked like one of an X-Men or something.
They were superheroes for about 5 seconds there. He was Bubble Man and she was Lava Lady.
It was a lot of nudity in this. Not Bob Balaban. But,
thank Jesus for that. But you're right. Oh God. There are things I've seen that I wish I could unsee. You see all of William Hurt.
I was going to say, I saw some bits and some pieces.
Some kibbles and bits.
Exactly.
You see a little too much.
I don't know if I saw the beans, but I think I saw the Frank.
You definitely saw the Frank. That is damn show.
Blair, at least, was always kind of on her stomach, or
No, you saw her topless.
You saw her topless, but you didn't see her furry regions, except for her strangely furry armpits.
It was the 60s. What do you want?
It was the 70s. They're letting it all hang out.
Pretty much. Any other musings so we can get on with our lives?
Let me see here. Yeah, I mean, the characters are not exactly sympathetic or relatable.
No. Well, he is so bizarre.
He's arrogant and bizarre and inappropriate. And...
It's basically William Hurt in every movie.
Yeah.
But what the problem is, it makes her less sympathetic because she's so into him. Like, the fact that she likes this weirdo, please marry me, William Hurt. That you're just kind of like, what's up with you?
I love your insanity. It fires me up. It makes me hot.
Fascinating.
Tell me more of your dead father and his last words that he whispered in your ear.
While we're in our conjugal bed. Tell me more about this.
It is our first hot and heavy hookup. By all means, roll me over and tell me about your hallucinations and your dead father's last words. It was so weird. And she's like, yeah, baby. It was very 20 Shades of Grey.
Oh, God, help me. So, shall we go to the behind the scenes? Or do you have some more music you want to share?
Honest to Jesus, I'm not sure if I have any behind the scenes except for William Hurt actually hallucinating in the tank.
Well, the book was written by Paddy Chayefsky, who is famous for he wrote the screenplay for Network. Won Academy Awards for that. Didn't do anything. That's Faye Dunaway.
It was a movie for its time.
Won Academy Awards. Anyway, he wrote the book Altered State and then wrote the screenplay. And then they went through a bunch of directors. And then they brought in this director, Ken Russell.
Ken Russell said he was like the 29th or something director.
And he started to direct it. And then Paddy Chayefsky didn't like the way he was directing it. So he took his name off the screenplay and put a pseudonym, Sidney Aaron.
Before he even saw it.
Before he saw it.
He predetermined that it was going to be a mess.
Ken Russell felt legally he had to do the script as written. Otherwise, he'd be sued. So he didn't like
the same screenwriter.
By the
who
screenwriter.
Was freaking out.
So he said he didn't like the script. So he would have people deliver their lines like mumbling or, have a drink of wine and say the line with food in their mouth.
Might have been a better choice. Might have been a good choice. There should have been more food, more wine.
You're telling me. I should have had more wine before I watched this bad boy. Anyway, it was not a big hit, as you might imagine. And I think it pretty much ruined both of their careers. So good times. William Hurt, on the other hand,
Teflon,
untouched by the horror of Altered States.
He shaked his moneymaker, and it all just went green for him.
That's all it took. Any last thoughts before we move on?
Is that it? Is that all your great stories? What the director, Roger Ebert, said this movie was the pinnacle of this director's work.
That might be so, but that ain't saying much.
He said he's the perfect director for this movie because he always wants his actors to go over the top with their acting.
Well, that's what you get. He directed Tommy, if that means anything.
Yes, I was going to say, there you go. What's more over the top than Tommy?
Yeah, Altered States.
I don't know. I think Tommy might have been. With Gypsy the Acid Queen, I'm thinking Tommy might have been. This might have been the tamer Tommy.
Oh, sweet Lord. So there you have it. Thank you for joining us. Go to our page on Facebook at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcastTWDie. Email us at thepodcastthatwouldn'tdie@gmail.com. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on Google Podcasts. Like, share, subscribe, rate us. And Aaron, you also have a personal Twitter and email account. Evidently, you want the world to know.
What are we? The Podcast That Wouldn't Die at Gmail. I think there's a dot between every single word.
There's not.
Is there not?
There is not. So don't tell people the lies.
I can't remember how I wrote it.
Sweet Jesus.
Yeah, no, I think that's true.
And Aaron is on Twitter at The Cult of Aaron. And The Cult of Aaron at Gmail.
Wait, hold still. I'm looking this damn thing up.
Yeah. We ain't got time for this.
No. You're right. It doesn't have any dots.
Thank you.
I stupidly put all the dots for The Cult of Aaron and Don't Feed the Pigeon.
Good thinking.
It's hard thinking, Lincoln. It's hard enough to remember stupid Gmail.
Clearly. Because those letters and emails, again... Avalanche City. We have to run for the hills with the steady stream of emails coming in.
Actually, somebody posted on Facebook asking if we're going to be doing, hey, Gretchen. Gretchen wants to know if we're going to do Videodrome. I'm not sure I've ever seen that.
That's David Cronenberg. We can definitely put it on the list. We also had somebody say they wanted us to do American Werewolf in London. We'll definitely do that at some point. I had a buddy tell me he wants us to do Body Bags.
I'm not familiar with that.
Body parts. Body parts.
Oh, body parts. We're not going to do I Spit on Your Grave, are we?
We'll do whatever we GD feel like doing. Okay?
We're never going to do the Human Centipede, are we?
No. We're definitely there.
Are we just pushing Eli Roth and all kinds of things of that? Well, I can't even ilk off to that side.
We basically said we're not doing any like torture porn kind of stuff. We're not going to do anything too vile or too disgusting.
Or that makes you want to throw up.
No, we're not doing anything yucky. No yucky. Okay? So there you have it.
No
so
tummy floppies.
No. So thank you for joining us, and be well.
Be well, my people. Happy almost holidays. Or maybe the holidays already passed. We don't know.